The mop water had gone cold hours ago, but Jacob Reyes barely felt the sting of it anymore. His hands were rough, calloused, and used to the burn of bleach, the weight of a mop handle, the long nights that stretched endlessly across the school's empty hallways. The building was silent except for the soft hum of the ventilation system and the distant flicker of fluorescence that needed replacing again. He'd fix them tomorrow. He always fixed everything tomorrow, for a single dad with 2 jobs and a daughter who depended on him for more than he ever let himself say aloud. Tomorrow was the only promise he knew how to make. Jacob paused in front of the trophy case at the end of the hallway. The glass was crystal clear, his doing, and behind it sat awards from decades of student victories, debate medals, football championships, robotics plaques. He stared at the martial arts club's regional championship trophy, a polished gold figure frozen mid-kick. Funny, he thought. Life had a way of circling back. He tore his gaze away. He wasn't that man anymore. Not the fighter who once trained under a name whispered quietly among certain circles. Not the man who had walked away after a night that still lived in the darkest corners of his memory. Now he was just the janitor, Daddy. His daughter's voice echoed from the hallway, small feet pattering on the tile. Lily barreled toward him, wearing a unicorn backpack almost as big as she was. Her hair was a messy ponytail, her attempt to get ready on her own, and her smile carried the warmth he lived for. "You're supposed to be at the library," Jacob said gently as she crashed into his leg, hugging it. "I finished my homework early," she said proudly. "Miss Carter said I could come find you." Jacob ruffled her hair. "You're too smart for your own good. That's what you always say. It's always true." She giggled and grabbed his hand, swinging it as they walked. He let her lead him, feeling the weight of the mop bucket behind him, the weight of the day on his shoulders, but all of it felt lighter when Lily was around. They turned a corner toward the gym. Even before stepping inside, he heard the noise, sharp shouts, the thud of feet on mats, laughter from overconfident teenagers trying to impress each other. The martial arts club always stayed late on Fridays, practicing until their instructor, Mr. Winslow, kicked them out. Jacob made a mental note to clean the gym last. He pushed the door open. 5 boys, seniors, big, athletic, were in the middle of a sparring circle. They were black belts, and proud of it. Maybe too proud. Jacob recognized them instantly. They'd made a habit of mocking him behind his back, calling him Mop Man, whispering about how pathetic it was that a grown man cleaned their messes. They froze when they saw him, then they laughed. The tallest boy, Cade, smirked. "Hey, look who's here. Thought janitors cleaned after we were done, not during?" Jacob didn't flinch. He never rose to bait, not here, not anywhere. He was invisible by choice. "A ghost, don't mind us," he said quietly, pushing the mop bucket toward a corner, but Cade wasn't done. "You know," he said loudly to the others, "I heard janitors have killer reflexes from dodging responsibility." His buddies snickered. Jacob kept working. "Hey," Lily snapped suddenly, hands on her hips. "My daddy works harder than you do." The room went silent. Jacob's heart lurched. "Lily," she marched right up to Cade until she had to tilt her head all the way back just to glare at him. "You can't talk to him like that. He's nice. And he's strong." Cade arched a brow. "Strong? Him?" He looked Jacob up and down with mocking disbelief. "Sweetheart, he's, what, 40? Maybe 50? No offense, sir, but I don't think you could spar for 2 minutes without passing out." Lily stomped her foot. "He's stronger than all of you." Jacob gently scooped her up, hugging her close. "It's okay. They're just kids trying to show off." "Kids," one of the boys repeated indignantly. "Dude, we're black belts. We train 5 days a week." Cade grinned suddenly, something sharp and competitive lighting in his eyes. "Hey. You know what? Let's prove it." "Don't," Jacob said quietly. "Come on," the boy pressed. "Just for fun. One little spar. We'll go easy." Jacob shook his head. "I don't fight anymore." That should have been the end of it, but teenagers, especially ones with an audience, never knew when to stop. "What's wrong?" Cade taunted loudly. "Scared?" "No," Jacob said. "Just wise enough not to entertain stupidity." That hit harder than any punch. The boys stiffened. Several muttered curses under their breath. "You hear that?" Cade said, stepping into the center of the mat. Old man thinks he's too good for us. Yeah, another boy said. Maybe he's hiding something. Or maybe, Cade said, pointing at Jacob with a smirk, he's just all talk. Jacob moved to leave, but Lily grabbed his sleeve. Her voice was barely a whisper. You don't have to fight, she said. I just don't want them to make fun of you anymore. His chest tightened. Fighting wasn't the problem. The consequences were, but Lily's eyes were wide, hopeful. Trusting. He had spent years hiding the man he used to be, burying him under work and routine and exhaustion. A ghost haunting his own life, but there were two things he would never let slide in front of his daughter: disrespect and bullying. Jacob sighed softly, set Lily down, and looked at the boys. One spar, he said. No strikes to the head. No injuries. I ended when I choose. The boys laughed in disbelief. Sure, Cade said. Whatever you want, Grandpa. Jacob stepped onto the mat. He rolled his shoulders, not to stretch, but to remember. His fingers brushed the mat. The world went quiet. The years fell away. The lines of the gym blurred into something older, darker, colder. He exhaled once, and became someone else. Cade came at him first, cocky, predictable, telegraphing every movement. A right jab, a shallow kick, a sloppy attempt to grab Jacob's shoulder. The boy moved like a black belt who had never fought outside a tournament. Fast, but undisciplined. Jacob stepped aside like it was nothing. The boys watching gasped. Cade frowned, rushed again, harder this time. Jacob didn't move backward, he moved forward. A pivot. A sweep. A shift of weight so fast it barely existed. Cade hit the mat flat on his back. His friends shouted. Lily gasped. Jacob stepped away. That's enough. No. Cade snarled, red-faced. Again. He rushed. Jacob didn't sweep him this time. He stopped him mid-charge with two fingers against the boy's wrist and one gentle tap behind the knee. It wasn't even a proper takedown, just pressure, leverage, and timing. Cade crumpled again. The room erupted. What the? No way. Do it again. Another boy stepped forward. I want to try. Jacob sighed. Boys, but they were already moving. One came at him with a spinning kick. Jacob nudged his ankle, and the boy spun harmlessly into the mat. Another tried to grab him from behind. Jacob shifted sideways, redirecting the momentum until the kid stumbled forward like he'd tripped over air. A third tried a quick jab. Jacob blocked it with a single effortless motion. In 90 seconds, all 5 black belts were on the ground, exhausted, shocked, bruised only in their pride. Jacob hadn't even broken a sweat. Lily stared at him with stars in her eyes. One of the boys whispered, stunned, What are you? Jacob shook his head. A janitor. But the gym door slammed open. Everyone turned. A man in a crisp military uniform strode inside, his presence filling the room like a storm front. Broad shoulders. White hair cropped short. Medals on his chest. A steely gaze that missed nothing. General Marcus Hale, retired 4-star general. Legendary. Feared. He stared straight at Jacob. Sir, he said loudly, voice echoing. The boys froze. Lily looked confused. Jacob's blood ran cold. Hale stepped forward, boots thudding on the gym floor. His face was unreadable until he stopped in front of Jacob and snapped a salute sharp enough to cut air. Respectfully, he said, you should have told me where you were. Cade whispered, do they know each other? But Hale wasn't done. His voice boomed across the gym. Men like you don't disappear, Reyes. Not legends. Not the Iron Ghost. The room went silent. The boys' jaws dropped. Lily stared at her father like she'd never seen him before. Jacob closed his eyes. So much for staying invisible. So much for tomorrow. The past had just stepped into the gym and it had called him by a name no one should have known.